Hello and welcome to part 8 of this live stream series where I am building an air gap crypto vault. Okay, yeah, I had some technical difficulties yesterday. Could not stream because the restream service that I used for streaming to both the platforms, YouTube and Twitch, did not work as expected. So I had to figure out a custom solution for myself. So I used a Linode server and using Nginx, I'm sending the stream that I upload from my computer to both YouTube and Twitch. So today, it's the stream started out just fine. I just tested it for a second. So now we can continue building what we were working on. So we were working on the vault side of things, the front end and the back end of the vault. So let's get back there and see where we left things. Sure, I'll have to restart a bunch of services here. Let's start Nginx and then MySQL, which is MariaDB. Oh, come on. So we were working on the very first screen that someone will see when they boot up their hardware vault, essentially boot up their Raspberry Pi device, and the program that will launch, this is the kind of screen that they will look. I mean, we'll obviously have some UI improvements in here. Okay, I can close this. Okay, we were here. Just quickly gonna check the stream is functioning. And since now I'm not using Restream, I will have to come back to the screen to check the chat messages here. But I guess we'll live with it, and later on we'll figure out something. Oh, some frames are being dropped. I hope that doesn't pile up. Moving on. So, okay, need to start the server as well. I messed up the Windows arrangement here. Looks okay now. Okay. Okay. Go build executable and run this executable. It's up and running. So when I click on generate seed phrase, it should give me the seed phrase in this text area. It should. Don't know why it didn't work. Let's see. Any errors? Nope. So the request fired. Oh, this one is running on 3002 port. Oh, I'm actually running the wallet service here, not the vault. Okay, we have an error at line 91. That's here. Let's see. It says that I declared it and didn't use it. So this is the unlock wallet handler. So which is the request that goes out when I click on this. So let me fix this code for this button and then I'll go through the entire flow again. So at this point we deal with the call stuff. We read the body that was received, which will essentially be the mnemonic codes that are here and the passphrase that the user entered here. So M and P, mnemonic and passphrase, we have the inputs here at this point. and we generate the wallet here. Okay, we have to define the code inside of this function first. Okay, so let's go back to the old file that I had. This is what we want to do. We want to generate the seed from mnemonic and phrase, and then create the master node and keep the master node in the memory somewhere, because right now we only have to unlock the wallet in the sense that we have derived the master key and we are sitting on that, and then based on the derivation paths we have to uh, derive the addresses of different cryptocurrencies that we are going to be working with. Okay, I recall that the last time I was working on what happens when I click on this button. We unlock the wallet on the backend side, but what happens on the UI side? The UI screen will shift towards showing you a dashboard of some sort where different supported cryptocurrencies will be listed and their accounts, as in how many accounts you have under each one of them. You will have a way of looking at them, choosing one of those accounts, going inside of it, or creating new account, those kind of things. So we would need to generate some addresses. Hmm, let's see. I mean, it makes no sense to generate, like upon clicking this button, second, uh, semantically speaking, the request that will be fired after clicking this button has no business of fetching anything related to the accounts that can be generated or whatever. So I think what we'll have to do is hmm, let's do this actually. Let's copy this much code here. So we generate the mnemonic passphrase and we have the master node at this point, and then we can simply reuse this variable over here to generate further addresses like this. So we need to store this in a variable that's outside of the scope of that particular function. Let's put it here for now. We'll have to define its type as well, which has a type of an extended key. Will that work, or I have to add some package here? These are the only three packages and I do have them here. And this one is, I think, defined HD keychain. So let's take a look inside of that. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Let's get inside one of these functions so that we get to the file. Here is the extended key type defined here. Over here. And this is exported as well. Okay, this is the extended key.com under HD keychain. So I think if I do it like this, extended key, then it picks up, or no, it still doesn't pick up. So how do I get to this? It should pick up because eventually this is the GitHub repository that we are referencing. So in this case it's the complete repository, and in this case it's one of the packages under that repository. So let's go back to the HD keychain for a second. Well, the package name is HD keychain, and we do have that import over here. So why this won't work? Because this is essentially under package HD keychain. All of these are. Let's check that out. Go use diff type from package. Yeah, that's what I want to use. Import struct from another package and file. Yes, this should be it. Okay, let's read the question for also. I have a problem trying to import a type from another package and file. The struct that I'm trying to import is the one underneath this. If I put the priority key alongside with all of its method in the same file, I would declare it with this. I've been searching the internet like a madman. In Go, you don't import types of functions, you import packages. So import this, and that's what we did here. Import this HD keychain package. And by importing a package, you get access to all of its exported identifiers, and you can refer to them as package name.identifier. Oh, obviously. So HD keychain dot extended key. Yep, yeah, that works. Okay, good to know. Okay, so now we define the master node over here, and the master node that's generated over here needs to be put into that. We don't want to redefine it here. It says cannot assign to master node in multiple assignment. It's essentially a pointer. So let's go ahead and pointer like this. Nope. Let's take a look inside. It returns a new extended key, whatever this function returns, and this function returns definitely returns simple. A value is simply a value. If like the extended key is the pointer, then this converts it into the value. So value is returned to us, and the extended key should be able to get that value. I don't understand why this would be a problem. What if I let's ignore the error now, and let's simply define new variables here, and once that is done, and then do it like this. Okay, obviously that doesn't work. The same error here. Cannot use master. Type this. I'm obviously doing something silly here. Can't use asterisk as. How do I generalize this error? Cannot use type asterisk as type. Okay. That's not it. Yes, this is it. Hmm. So over here they have this type. The function is this, which returns the uh, actual value from the pointer, I believe. Let's see. Inside of this, they use a new struct. They create a new struct here, and they return the address of it. So they return a pointer. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got confused a little. And then how do they work it? Then they simply pass it on like this. So this is a pointer that gets here. So I think I need to indicate that this is going to be pointer. And then over here, simply do it like this. And then redefine the error that can be thrown from this function. All good? Looks like all good. Oh no, some error here. Missing return at end. What? What's missing? I'm not sure. Let's see the error at the compilation screen. Missing return at end of function 155. Missing return. Oh, we're not returning it. So in a way, generate wallet creates the wallet, like as in unlock the wallet from the given mnemonic and passphrase, and instead of returning it, it puts that into the global master node, which is here, and we shouldn't be clearing this the memory because we're gonna be using it in the further requests. So um, what I'm also trying to do is, while I'm building this, I don't want to keep any sensitive information on the client side of things. I only want to keep it over here, and if needed, I can try to encrypt those values in the memory or make it harder to, fiddle around with the memory in cases like where that's possible. I'll have to look into that. How does a malicious program can scan the memory that the other program is using and possibly get values out of it. I mean, even though it's an air-gapped wallet, it would still be a good idea to have such security measures in place so that if a malicious program does reaches the wall side of things, it's still not able to extract the value as simply, if it's just lying in front of it. Okay, so we have the master node, we return it, and if there is an error in creating this, this error will be returned over here. And what were the errors that could have been thrown? If the seed is of invalid length, which it won't be, provided the user input is alright. And and whatever is returned by this function, which does not throw an error, just an extended key. So the only error that's possible where was I? Inside this function. So the only error that can be thrown is this invalid seed length error. Apart from that, yeah, no errors to be thrown apart from this error. So as long as the user input is trustable, it would work out just fine. But in the rare case when it isn't, which we should plan for, we receive the error here, and if the error is not null, we set the response dot error as, that's a boolean, right? Or an error message. Okay, that's an error message. So we first set the success as false and response dot error as no new variables. We have error defined over here. This is also this one thing that I keep encountering in Go. Like I'll have a bunch of function calls inside a function that I'm working with, and there would be so many instances of trying to catch these errors. And at many times they will have two arguments, so I'll do it like this, initializing this variable on the fly, and then this complains about that the error is already defined. So if I were to do it like this, then it would complain that this error variable is already defined above, which is what it is doing here. So it kind of makes it hard, and I don't know if there is a way around. There is a code structure that you can follow in your code so that you don't run into this as often, or people simply just reuse the error and lose the value of the error that it was over there. Maybe that's what they do. I don't know. Let's see. But kind of looks like an inconvenient thing that you have to, like, for example, if I were to catch a value here with it as well, and when I want to define it like this, so it won't let me because error is already defined. And if I do it like this, then it essentially forces me to define the variable, the first variable here, like this. So that's a little inconvenience, nothing else. Okay, moving on. So we indicate the success is false, the error is the error this one, and what else? Unlock what, this is a handler function, so we'll have to write the JSON as well. But if there is no error, then we can simply say response.success is equal to true, and the error will be empty since it's a generic response. And over here I have this comment that validate mnemonic. Oh, okay. This is the once the user has entered the mnemonic on this screen, like a bunch of 24 words, we need to validate them. So if the user is trying to import a seed phrase that wasn't generated by the vault, or they were just typing in random words in there, I need to be able to validate the mnemonics. The words that are in the mnemonic are from the actual word lists that are in there in the BIP39 improvement proposal. And I was looking at this package that I'm using in my code, and I don't recall, but it, I think I came to the conclusion that I'll have to add some code to this package. And since this package isn't actively maintained for more than 2 years ago, I'll simply fork it and make changes and maintain that package for myself for the time being. Okay, validate mnemonic, ensure all the words. Oops. And the mnemonic is from the actual word list under the BIP39 improvement proposal. So we do this. That's it. So on the front end side, let's try running it now. Let's run the server here. Give it a reload. Okay, let's try to generate it first. It gave us 24 words. It gave us the message that write it down safely. And let's use a passphrase. This is the weakest passphrase that can be, so do not use something like that. Ensure that you have a passphrase that's huge, complicated. The longer it is, the better it's gonna be. Okay, for testing purposes, we'll just use QWERTY. Click on this button. First, the pre-flight request was fired, which is this one, and then the actual request, which passed on this and did not return anything. What happened here? Let's see. So unlock wallet handler was called, pre-flight request was logged here, then the actual request, then the post body, and then the form inputs were passed. This was being the mnemonic and this being the passphrase. Then seed was derived from it, and okay, I forgot to write the JSON here, so that's why we don't see any output. Write JSON response W. I think that's how I built the handler. Response W, yes, cool. Let's run this again, and this time we should see some output here. Okay, success true. So at this point, the app will initialize the dashboard, so the user URL will change to /dashboard. Let's do that. Inside of this, do I not have, I mean, I must have the current route defined in here, it's just not changed, so I think I was doing it on the, when was I changing the current route here? Current route, so it gets its initial value from this. Does it keep on changing, or I have to trigger it? Oh, it keeps on, very cool. So we define it like this once. I don't know how I did it here. Okay, I hard coded it. So if we define it like this, it will update this model based on the value of this variable every single time. So it's not a simple initialization, which is pretty cool. So now if I reload this, I get the dashboard view, which is whatever I write here. So now we have to show all the accounts that the user has, but we have no way of knowing how many accounts that the user has actually created, as in, is it their first Bitcoin account or second or third or 51st? We don't know. So we will simply have to give them a way to derive as many as they want. I mean, we don't really have to optimize for that use case. So I think if we create and show like 3 accounts by default, that should suffice for most of the users. and you simply tap the account to go inside that account, and over there you can see, well, what can you see? There isn't much to see except the extended pub key that you will export in the form of QR code and import it on the wallet side where all the cool stuff happens. So let's go back to the screen and try to see. Okay, so I was working on this visual hash concept, so that's when I created this. So it's kind of like that screen. If you are under the view of a particular cryptocurrency, it will show you your account like this. The extended pub key written over here, the QR code or the visual identification here. You can tap to, I mean, like, we have to still work out the UX of it, but thinking about how it should look like, let's see. Okay, copy this here. Let's put it here. So what do we want here? Let's ungroup these. So essentially, I want a list of all the cryptocurrencies that are there. That's and then I'll tap into one of these because there is no balance functionality or anything or whatsoever to show it here. The only time I will go into this screen is when I'm trying to get an extended pub key out so that I can plug that into some system or the other. Apart from that, I won't ever need to go inside of that. The only time I'll need a different option is when I'm signing transactions. So okay, let's draw a few things here. Let's do a little bit of the wireframe. Do I get a symbol here? The ability to add a symbol. Let's see. Nope. How do I select it? Okay, since it's just a text thingy, I cannot increase the size of it except the width. Not like the way I'm being able to do here. So maybe easier to just copy paste this again. So let's get the Bitcoin logo. Is this an image or not? Too small, but it's an SVG, so maybe it will work out. So I simply paste this here and it appears. Okay, that's not how I wanted it. Is there a media kit here? Screw it, I'll simply get it off the internet. This is good. So it replaced our circle. I realized that. I thought this had transparent background. Okay, anyway, doesn't matter for the wireframing purposes. So for each cryptocurrency, we'll indicate what that currency is here. Have the name over here as well. And first account, second account, third account, and the option of adding more and more accounts just for that view, because it's not, the vault doesn't know how many accounts the user uses, so it's essentially a way of creating a huge number of accounts here and then using them somehow. That's still possible, but can't really have a UI for 15,000 accounts. Not that any user would actually require such huge number of accounts. I think the max one will do is like few tens of accounts. That's it, because inside each account they can create as many addresses as they want. So unless they are dealing with like 50 different industries, I don't imagine this requiring much more than that. And then we can have a plus button over here, and we did not have a plus button, so what can we do? Let's use that circle we had. And simply have a plus button inside of it. So it's essentially acting like add more accounts option here. Or I think a simple rectangle like this is better. Add account, create account, something like that. So when they click on it, this button will be pushed down below, and more accounts can be added like this, and then the user can tap one of these and go inside of these. And the same structure, let's group this and then copy this entire thing, will be here for Ethereum, and the same structure for the third currency will support. I actually like this part. Oh, we already have that border here. So we can delete these and expand this a little. And this can be just changed to Ethereum, centerline it, and what else? USDT. Um, oh, I click on SVG and I get a PNG. Good job. I mean, it says these are 3 different links here, but in reality, what? Oh yeah, so it's this whole thing is a link and it goes to PNG and not SVG. Stupid shit. Well, whatever. I think it's somewhere. Okay, I see it a little. Not sure that you guys would be able to see it. No, what the hell happened here? Okay, that's what happened. But this one is not even a square, so I guess we will live with that for now. That's it. This goes away. Then let's get a USDT logo as well. Just get it to match with that same size, and then we can simply pull it here and use it here. So yes, this looks much better now. Group these and group these. These are already grouped. Okay, accidentally moved it. Okay, this looks good. And this can be in a different color. That way it will look nice. Something like this. So this will be our dashboard for the vault. Okay, where were we? Okay, so I was saying this will be the vault dashboard, and this is what the next screen is that we are gonna be building. Okay, over here, so we need an array of the cryptocurrencies that we're supporting, and the like don't really need to do that because for now we'll only be doing this, and then later on other cryptocurrencies will come. And since the aspect of generating accounts, like how do you go from, like I don't know if the extended pub key derivations is different in, I mean it must be different in different currencies, and so will be the function of generating the address from a public key, that will be different as well. So we'll have to add a lot of code for that. For now, let's just go with the Bitcoin as is and not worry about an array of supported currencies. So on the dashboard, a different request needs to be fired immediately after unlock wallet, which is kind of not sure what would be the best way to trigger that, because that request is fired in after the requirement of rendering this section. So Vue.js fire request fetch data. Fetch data event. I mean, I want the routing to trigger the fetching of the data, so that over here when the unlock wallet function is done, the response is shown over here. Go to dashboard route. So this will change the URL, and that should trigger the request itself. Okay, we'll come back to it. Let's worry about, or let's first figure out how we are going to fire that request. So they're using a view router, which is different from the core library. I mean, I would like to stick to the very basic routing functionality because I don't require anything complicated. The default support that's in there should suffice. So where it says I can also trigger the data fetch upon the loading of the component, and I imagine these different the different UI will be components eventually, and that would trigger it. So for now I can not worry about that, and worry about that when I'm hashing these UIs out in their own unique components, which will happen once I actually learn about the Vue.js components. So that's still a few days away. Okay, for now what we can do is simply dashboard and have a temporarily load button here, which we will click manually for now, and that will load it up. That is the MVP way. So we'll simply copy this button from here, load dashboard. Let's call it load dashboard function. This looks good. Good. Here and over here we simply add that function. Load dashboard. Oops. Function. Why is this not aligned correctly? Oh no, it does require an indentation from this point, so it is. It's just not. It's visually disturbing. That is all. So load dashboard. It will be a GET request. Xeos.get. We'll go to the backend API, and the handler we can have is load dashboard, and then basically the same code goes around and around. Console.log response, and we'll see what we have to work with here. We will be populating what we will what I don't know. What do we expect the data format of this request that will give us the data that we'll use to render it like this? So to show different accounts, I simply need the extend xpub keys. But do I wanna fetch those xpub keys unless unless I know that the user is actually requesting for it? If not, then what do I even have to do here? I mean, I can simply show this based on the cryptocurrency supported, and unless the user takes an action which is only choosing an account and going inside of it, I don't need to make a request. So come to think of it, the load dashboard does not require any data to be loaded at all, just the information what cryptocurrencies uh, it knows that we're supporting. I must have a variable here over here. Oh no, I commented that out. Okay, so for now we don't need this load dashboard function. We comment it out, and we simply def class over here we'll say Bitcoin, and we'll show 3 accounts. Account 1, 2, 3 and add account option. What's the structure for specifying the font here? Do, do. Oh, text. Let's go with Excel here. Okay, well, these will be, uh, let's give them some padding. Will that work? Okay, that does. And the same classes goes to this button as well, except with the yellow. So essentially, we have a broken looking UI of this sort here, and this add account will be a button which will simply add another account over here, and each of the accounts will be a button on its own which will expose what? Which will expose hmm. I mean, the current my current thinking process is anytime you want to use this vault, you create this account, and then you already have three created, right, by default, and it's simply a matter of there is no actually creation involved here. It's just simply accessing a particular index and deriving some values based on that index. So we derive the value for the first three index 0, 1, 2, and when the user wants to use this, the user is supposed to scan these xpub keys which are here on the wallet app, which is here. So this is what they look in the vault, and they create an account and they scan it from the wallet app by using this QR code, and then they create addresses from under those accounts on the wallet app itself. So vault doesn't really have any other function other than showing its xpub key here when you click on this account, because it's an ephemeral storage, so you won't have any means of storing any value, any labels whatsoever, or any memory, how many accounts you created whatsoever. It can't. So if, for example, you use 5 accounts, each time you go into the right, I mean, uh, let's say you are using 6 accounts. So when you load up this vault app, you know whether you want to create a new account, that is a seventh account, or you want to sign a particular transaction using the wallet app. So on this screen, either you deal with these wallet accounts, or there will be another button here that will be for signing transactions. So let's duplicate this. And actually this won't even require sign transaction, because the QR code that will be used for signing transactions, that the process that will start from the app will generate a QR code, and it will have the derivation paths in it which is required to access the funds at those addresses that we are spending right now. So if you are spending from your sixth account, right, it would get derive that from the derivation path, and it would automatically access your sixth account and 141st address on it, and accordingly use the private key at that node index for signing the transaction. So that will work out just fine. It's simply a matter of choosing the sign transaction option, and I'm not even sure whether I can easily get away with simply having this dashboard view and a big sign transaction button. Could be on the top, could be at the bottom, but then when we are browsing that, how does that play out? Interesting. So I think we can have the sign transaction button at the top. At any time they want to use the sign transaction, because we have control over what data we send to the vault via this QR code. So we can send what cryptocurrency the user is trying to spend, where are the funds coming from, what addresses are to be used to sign this particular transaction. Every detail will be packed in this QR and then sent to it. So this can simply have one signing transaction button for all the cryptocurrencies that are involved, and it will simply figure out the private key for those addresses depending on that derivation path, because derivation path itself will look something like this: m slash this is master node, then we have what do we have, 44, since we are following the BIP44 proposal, and then we will have the uh, coin type that we have. So if it's Bitcoin, it will be 0, and if it's Ethereum, it will be 60, and accordingly then we will have what account is it, then 0 for the first account, second for third account, so basically an index, then M44. So this is master, purpose, coin type, account, and under the account we will be using either 0 for external chain or 1 for internal chain, which will hold the funds, the change of the funds spent on the external chain. An external chain is essentially the chain under which are the addresses that you reveal publicly, as in give it out to someone for receiving a payment or used in an e-commerce system. So this is that external chain. So 0 or 1 based on that, and then the actual index of the address under this account. So for example, we were talking about the 141st address under this account. So that will be 140th index, hence the 141st element or the address under that account. So every transaction would have a bunch of these, as in use the funds on this at this derivation path. So we immediately know, looking at this, this is the coin that we are dealing with. This is the actual path, like the remaining stuff is the actual path to derive that particular node and use the private key at this node for transaction. So on the top, let's have a biggest button which says sign transaction, and based on the QR code it will figure out what it needs to do easily. Right, and okay. Oops. No, 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 no. That's not what I meant to do. Oh, why did I get this margin over here? This did not get applied because it's already a block element. Did I specify that wrong? I didn't. Oh, maybe 5 is not defined anywhere. That's why. 10 is definitely defined. Okay, let's go with 10. Sign transaction, or be looking at this text Excel. Don't need this sign transaction button here then. So yeah, this is what we have for now. No way I can make it aesthetically pleasing without figuring out some rocket science behind it. Anyway, whatever. Uh, 2, wanna give it something nice. Color, no, not color. Background, color. Oh, opacity looks nice. Opacity. What am I doing? Hardly makes any difference. Screw that. This looks nice. BG orange 500. I mean, I'm sure it will suck. Yes, looks like some weird tablet that one has to take. Let's go with red. Why do all of these suck so bad? Is it because of the opacity? Why am I even trying to do this? Lord knows. Green 200 is nice. This will be my last attempt to choose a nice looking color, and that kind of kills it. Well, thanks opacity. Definitely no. Let's just go with white. Screw it. Whatever. So dashboards, either sign transaction or choose an account. All of these will be buttons on the click of which it will show the QR code on the right side. I mean, yeah, didn't realize I would need to show the QR code when I was building this. So let's say the QR code will come up on the right side, and this kind of looks like, keeps the UI simple. You tap on it, it increases more and more account. You tap on one of these accounts, it shows the QR code on the right side. Cool. Need that. Now, do I generate the QR code on the client side or the backend side? I think backend side is better in the sense that I would have a good control over the optimization of things if they're required. And if I'm generating QR code on the backend side, then the client doesn't even know the extended pub keys for a second. Sorry, not that that's an objective of ours to uh, prevent the client from knowing it, because it's essentially, I mean, once the QR code is there, it's known, but it's just a matter of the resource consumption at this point. Let's see. Where is the library though? Okay, over here. I mean, if you realize the QR code bit, and the signing of the transaction is all that there is going to be in the Vault app, at least for now. I mean, and at least for the most part, other than some UI and UX improvements, the Vault isn't gonna do much other than just holding your secrets strong and securely. This is a QR. How many stars does it have? Ooh. Want to rely on something that's gonna be updated and would have a lot of eyes over it. So maybe not this library. I mean, reading and decoding looks pretty simple. We read the file, we get the image data, then we decode it, use the image.decode function on the converting these into bytes representation of some kind. I think that's what this new data function of bytes package do. And then what is this? Recognize? Oh, I think so. It's once it converts the entire image into uh, so can this image be the background behind the QR image? Because essentially when you're showing a QR QR code in front of the camera, there is that QR code, and behind that QR code is the phone screen itself, the person behind it, the background and everything. So at what point, I think this is the recognize function, and this image can have that background. That's how I think it will make sense to have that recognize function, and it recognizes that QR code from that image, and accordingly either it succeeds so that it can move forward, otherwise it fails and reports an error here. And oh wow, it can identify QR codes plural, so then it can loop over it and display that. Interesting, pretty interesting. Cool. On that note, I'll take a small tea break and be back in 5 minutes. I'm back. Alrighty. Okay, what were we doing? So we did this. And we were looking into the QR code library for code language. Let's look into that real quick. Skip to. Is that the popular one? Yes. This is the library we want to use. Package QR code implements a QR code encoder. Here's a matrix. Each QR code contains error recovery information to it, reading damaged or obscured codes. There are 4 levels of error recovery. See, these fancy things I like. Hmm. So this is the data that they are encoding into this PNG over here. And this is the error recovery grade that you want with your image. I think the higher it is, the complicated the QR code will be. To aid QR code reading software, QR codes have a built-in white space border. If you know what you're doing and don't want a border, say this for how to do it. It still recommend you include a border manually. We'll definitely have a border. And this looks good. So let's fetch it. What does these 3 dots mean though? I don't know. Does it have a special meaning? 3 dots. It apparently does. What is that? An import path is a pattern if it includes one or more wildcards. So it's a wildcard essentially, each of which can match any string, including the empty string and strings containing slashes. Such a pattern expands to all package directories found in the Go path trees with names matching the patterns. As a special case, x slash dot 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 matches x as well as x's subdirectories. Okay. For example, cool. So essentially, it's a way of fetching all. It's essentially a way of specifying a wildcard, right? So when we type it like this, says inside of this, all the packages that are in there, these 3. Let's take a quick look inside of them. So it's fetching all 3 of them. I mean, I don't know what would have happened if I simply just did. It would have still fetched everything, I believe. But maybe in some case that matters. So it's all this package in here. Why does it have a main package here inside QR code? Is it the actual code in here, or what is this then? Oh, this is the package QR code. What? And this is package main. Okay, so it's like an example to use this library, I think, because it includes itself. And then it, what does it do? Oh, is it that example for the QR code without the border? Is what that is that the directory it was linking it to? I don't know. It's just. Nope, nope, nope. I think it's just an example still. inside bitset, it should be bitset package. So I don't know, I mean, inconclusive, but still we'll go with the recommendation that they have here. So okay, so it's done fetching the package. Let's see. So since we are handling the QR code on the backend side of things, the front-end code is simply becomes firing request for each of these accounts. So it will essentially be Bitcoin slash the account number, and then we figure out the extended pub key for it from the master node that we have, generate the QR code for the xpub key, and show it over here. Also, I'm just wondering if it makes sense to show the xpub text in text format on the screen here, like this, like what we have here. I guess we would need to, because let's say you created these three accounts, they are in use, or you are using two of them, and you forgot which one is used where. So how do you quickly check it? If you have the xpub key with you, you can take a look inside the vault and see, okay, this is the 0th account, so this is this particular account number 1, and so on. So I think we will be showing the xpub key. We'll just need to fetch the QR code for it. Okay, all right. So how do I make these into buttons? Let's do this. I mean, for good UX, I would want the entire thing to be clickable or tappable. Hmm. I'm just wondering. Can I do this? Alert function which simply issues an alert. Does that work out really? Nope, 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 it doesn't. What? I just defined it. What are you talking about? Oh, it works. So now each account can have a click handler associated with it, except that we need to know which account was clicked on or tapped on. And I think I did the same thing in some project, and I think it was a Vue.js project only, but not this one, I believe. Let's see. Let's go to the wallet here and quickly browse around. These do not have any actionable links on the row level. Nope, 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 nope. So yeah, it wasn't in this project, it was in another project. So allow me a moment to check that, and that's not a public project, so I'm just gonna stop sharing my screen for a second and take a quick look at it. Do, do. Hmm. It was in this table, so it's got to be where? Where's the HTML? Okay, is this it? Yeah, this should be it. Hmm. This is the header and the buttons are over here. Okay, so okay, so I simply pass the variable in the click handler itself. Okay, so what I did in that project was, where are we here? So over here, if it's an alert, it's me to have it like this. It's up to me, I meant to say. Copy this, paste this will alert too, and if I reload this, then hard reload. What? Oh, okay, because we're not catching the actual values here, so that is why. And when the values are passed in here, which is the event and which is the value that we passed? I do not know. Let's try this out. Okay, I was right. The event goes as the second parameter, then let's take a quick look at that as well. Undefined. Why would that be undefined? Or does in that case it doesn't need the event handler, so it simply goes away? There is no load dashboard, so we can remove that here. And just want to try it real quick. What does the event that's passed in here looks like? Is it's being defined? What? Where? Load dashboard. Okay. This would be signed transaction rather, and over here we'll have a signed transaction function eventually. Reload. What? Oh, I need to stop passing that data, otherwise it loses that event variable. What? That can't be. Vue.js click event. So in this example greet, this is the event.target.target name. So event should be something. Why did I not get it? Oh, we'll get it this time. See? Gotcha. And if we're passing some data, then obviously that means we are aware of the context. So I guess that's why it's not available, or maybe there is a way to make it available in some case if you require it, but we don't, so we're not gonna care about it. So over here, interesting. So when add account button is clicked, we kind of want uh, which Lee element is it under this UL is essentially what we want to return here. And in this event, what sort of data do we have? Path dash, that's a class. Which is click which element was clicked. How get clicked item, that's essentially the event variable that we saw, but let's check it out once. So over here it passes the item first. So I think if we render these leads using the Vue.js, then that makes it easy. So let's do that. Over here, just wondering, when these mnemonic and passphrase are used up in unlocking wallet, they should be cleared out. This dot mnemonic is equal to empty, this dot passphrase is equal to empty. Okay, now back to what we were doing. We were adding Bitcoin accounts. Let's say that is the variable that we have, which is an empty array for now. And upon mounting, we will put in 3 indexes over here, 0, 1 and 2. So how does that look like? I think that simply looks like this .bitcoin account is equal to 012. Essentially, it's holding the index here. And anytime add account is clicked, we add another index, the next index to it in this array. And using this same variable here, that is how we generate our Lee elements in the unordered list, which was where? In the HTML. So over here, what we can do is, let's duplicate this. And we would do v4 account in Bitcoin accounts, click alert, and it will be account, so that will be a index, or maybe perhaps let's call it an account index, show the account, and this will be a number that's bigger than the index here. I mean, from the UX side of things, do we want to call it account 123, or do we want to call it account 0th like this and call it primary, and account first and second, all of these are additional? Because simple users who are not doing much and simply just holding money, they will only be using one account. So maybe it will make sense to call it 0th account, the primary account, and then so on. But let's see. I mean, I'm a programmer, so I'm biased with the 0th and the first. Anyone who is not familiar with the indexes starting from 0, someone who is not techie, he would freak out. What do you mean, account number 0? And if I were to tell him that the list starts from 0th element, first element, I'm sure the response you would get is why. So I'm not sure how to do that right now. Let's leave that for now. Let's come back to it and see what do we get here. Refreshing error inside of alert, which is this. Unexpected token. Wow, the error actually was in these lines and not. Oh, because it was a broken parenthesis, and that's why. So this creates the account 0th, 1 and 2. That will work for now because we're not relying on communication in a way. Do this on this account, not saying as in do this on the first account or the 0th account. So whatever is shown is simply for display purposes, and this isn't going to be used anywhere as such that the user might get confused and imply the wrong thing when their intention is something else. So we're good here. Then when we have shown the accounts, upon add click, let's add a click handler here. We'll call it add Bitcoin account, and over here this will be a function which will this Bitcoin accounts dot push. Now what will it push? So if we have 3 elements, third is, so essentially whatever the length of this array is, that number is what we want to insert here. So this dot Bitcoin accounts dot length. Reloading. Boom, 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 boom. Love it. And this will keep on holding the indexes. Sweet. So when I click on this, it already knows the index it's being clicked on. Sweet. So now we have context awareness as well. Okay, so when these are actually clicked, what needs to happen then? Um, show account, let's call that show account. I'd rather call it show Bitcoin account. This will become show Bitcoin account. The index is passed here. And what do we do? What do we do with it? We send the request to the backend. So a get request, and that will return the extended pub key and the QR code file, the image file. That will look, let's copy this over. This will be show Bitcoin account, get Bitcoin account rather. Get Bitcoin account, and the variable would go in the, can go in the URL parameter itself for the simplicity, and it's not a sensitive information, so I'll do this. I can call it I'm gonna call it index hi account index. I mean, not that someone will actually be looking at this and studying this code to learn things, but let's be let's be what's the word, descriptionary, I don't know. Get Bitcoin account, send the account index, then we're gonna get the export key and everything. So for now we can remove this here, and we also don't need any console.login anymore, so remove that as well. Dun. We get the response.data here, response.data mnemonic. Let's comment that out for now. Okay, that's good. Let's build this handler now. This will be get Bitcoin account and get Bitcoin account handler. Let's copy this. Function, oops, get Bitcoin account handler. So we are inside of this now, and the data that we have, we will get it by count index is what we're calling it. Log.printf. This will be a string since it's coming from the URL and not in the JSON or a format that can communicate the data type. Running the backend server here, reloading this one more time. Didn't have to, but okay. Doesn't hurt us. Let's send this. Oh, okay, we need to handle cors. So we'll copy the cors function helper here. And restart the server. Restart it. Click on this. And what happened? Is something happening? It's definitely firing request. Oh, empty. So what's happening with the request? It did return 200, okay. But with no response. We're not meant to get a response, we're meant to only see it here. So the function that I'm using is probably not able to get it. So I must have done something wrong here, over here. Is it out of form values? Go language get parameter. Go.go. What did I open? No, I'm not looking to register a domain, you jackass. Go language get your parameter. Okay, that's the way they say. I do remember this being a function. What was it then? Because the first value associated with the given key, if there are no values associated with key, get returns the empty string. And this is ran on values, which is a map of a string and an array of strings. So 2D array. I do want to look this up. Go language r dot get. Because I've used these functions before. It's getting and setting values. So maybe I'm looking at the wrong place here. Seriously? So it works on values. That's definitely not what I was after. Maybe parse query and something here. Whatever. Looks like I was mistaken. So we'll simply use this here. Restarting the server, going back to the app, and let's try sending another request. It does say 0th index, does say first, second, go. Why does it say in an array though? Why does it have this? Oh, since get parameters can be an array, it assumes that every value is an array. So that is why I think. So now I should be able to get the values like this. Yes, cool. All right. We do want to parse it into an integer. So still don't remember the handler functions that I constantly use. Format end is the one that I want. Oh no, that's for formatting in a given base. That's not what I want. I want this ATOI. or parse in to parse a decimal string base 10 and check if it fits into an 64. Or I can hmm, okay, I guess we use this string com.atui and then on the index side of it I can say it says multiple values, so okay, let's do this. The index, the error, if error not equal to no, log.println, otherwise simply show that here. The starting server, index 0, now fetching it as an integer. Cool. So now that we have the integer, the index that we are working with, what do we do with it? We fetch, we know that we want to fetch xpub from m slash, since it's Bitcoin 0, no, the 44, since the BIP44 proposal, then the Bitcoin 0 for Bitcoin, and then the account index. So index, this is the derivation path we would be using, and obviously there are like hardened derivations and non-hardened derivations, which essentially means the index that you're using for hardened derivations, you don't start with the 0th index, you start with a big number, which is this. So it's some number to the power of 2, and then you start that you start at that index and keep on incrementing it by 1 for the hardened derivation. Okay, so we're here, we have the master node available, so we need a function which will do the rest of things for us. So using this master node that we have, from here it will generate this address like this. We don't even need the address, we only need the generate address from master. So inside of this we need the code like this. We have the master node, right? Yes. So 44 and 060 for Bitcoin or Ethereum, then the account itself, if the hardened, is the account itself hardened? Must be. Let's quickly check. BIP44, purpose is hardened, coin type is hardened, account is hardened. Yes, it is hardened. So hardened plus 44, hardened plus 60, hardened plus 0th, 1, first, second, so on. So generate address from xpub. This uses the master private key. We will be passing using the master node that we have. So we kind of need this once we get the extended pub key. Well, we don't generate the index because that's the wallet has nothing to do with generating addresses. I mean, I guess it can, but it doesn't have to, because it's not able to keep a track of what has been used in a transaction and what hasn't. So that's not the responsibility I want the vault to have, because that might generate because it doesn't remember what it has done and what it hasn't. So it can't remember in the next boot that it has already given you the address on the 0th index of a particular account, and if you're asking for another one, it should give you the first one and the second one and so on. It doesn't know how to do that because it has no memory. So it's not ideal to have that over there. So now over here we come get account. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to call it, but let's paste it here. Get Bitcoin account, because essentially what we are trying to do over here is this function get Bitcoin account handler. We have the index. We should get the xpub at this point. Get Bitcoin account xpub. That's going to be the name of it, and we will have the index here, which will be an integer. Do I want to use integer 64? I don't know, and I do not have the hardened global defined yet, so I'll copy that constant. Perhaps the debug should be constant as well, because it's not going to change in this execution round. And then I get to define it on the top and not in the init function, and then the init function can go away. All good with you? Oops, that's not what I meant to do. It doesn't compile. Still working with that code. Let's see. Here goes the index. Let's see what integer type to use here. Bitcoin hardened derivation. Let's see if they are listing the exact numbers here. They are not. Maybe that's mentioned in the BIP42. I think they built this wiki for regular users and not for actual developers. So I want to go to the 32 proposals. Let's go directly and then search for hardened. Yep, this is the number that we're looking for. Okay, here it goes. Each extended key has 2 to the power 31 normal child keys and 2 to the power 31 hardened child keys. Each of the child keys has an index. The normal child key uses indices through 0 through 2 to the power 31 minus 1, and the hardened child key uses 2 to the power 31 through 2 to the power 32 minus 1. So, what is 2 to the power 31? 2 power 30. Okay. So, this is the biggest index that we can possibly be dealing with. Give me a second. Sorry about that. Got a call from my brother. So we were looking at this number. This is the highest value of that index. So what is it? It's 4.29 billion. Billion, right? Thousand, millions, billions, yeah. 4.29 billion. And let's take a look at the value the in64 can hold. Yes, cool. Oh, it was right there. Let's see. Let's throw this here and let's throw this here. Say what? Okay. Let's look at this then. This is the max biggest number that we want to hold, and an unsigned integer is exactly that number, isn't it? So all we need is an unsigned integer 32-bit and not the 64 one. 4294 967 Good. So we can simply use uint32 and forget about it. Coming to it, then this becomes unsigned integer 32. We get the account at this point. We use the account expert key to get it here, and then we can return this account expert key for further use. Get Bitcoin account expert, index this, and since it's for our purpose, BIP44, this will be 0. The child, we still haven't derived the external chain, which will be under it, so we don't need to do that here. And return string here, or we can return an array. Oh, error, I mean string error. Undefined. Oh, it needs to be a type. Let's do it like this. Let's make it expert key. Now we are able to use this here, even if this error is defined here earlier. But since this is already defined, it doesn't let us define it that way. It says cannot define extended pub key to neuter. What? Oh, this still returns an extended key and not a string. What do we have in our old code here? We got an expert key. Oh, we have to use a string function over it. Account expert, and then when it comes to getting the expert, it will be account expert dot string, and then we simply return. What is it complaining about? Undefined account expert. Okay, there you go. Eat shit. Cool. Now it works. So we generate the expire extended pub key and return that over here. Where was this being used, or where we are trying to use is over here. Then we simply pass on the index here, which is what int we need it to be unsigned integer 32. Golang convert string to uint32. Parse uint, which will use string, the base, and the bit size. That's much more like. I mean, I don't like these weird names. Pretty sure that has a meaning attached to it, but I don't like it. Parse uint, we pass on the string to it, and then what we specify, the base. Base will be 10, and bit size. What will be the bit size? I don't know. No. Okay, so since we want unsigned 32 bit, that means it will be 32. Index needs to be uint32. So we get the index over here, and then what? Now it needs to okay, it needs to accept. It's already accepting uint32. What it is complaining about? Cannot use index, which says it has the type uint64, even though I said 32 here. What? Okay, that's weird. Why does it think that I am creating an unsigned integer 64 here and not 32? Maybe Go has a way of doing something here, so we'll need to look that up. Come on, copy. Cannot use index as type into in argument. Let's do that. Okay, type uint in argument to this, and the parameter is an int. So it's trying to expect. Yes, there's a difference. The type of color index is int. The argument type is uint8, and it cannot be assigned. Oh, no, that's not it. In our case, the function definition expects uint32, and that's what we're generating here. Unsigned integer 32. So why does it think somehow it's the type of index it's inferring from this variable, from this line, is that it's an unsigned integer 64 somehow. What if I change it to 16? What if I totally skip it? Then it complains, not enough arguments. Actually, what we can do is, how do we check the types, Putty? index 32. This will not even compile. Let's comment this out for a second. Okay, let's fire the get Bitcoin account handler function first, and then see what shows up in our log. See, that's what I said. The data type for this index is uint64, even though I'm specifying it, I want it to be u32. To pass, maybe this function does something. Size %. So it copies the string into S0 switch case. If base is what? Okay, if base is greater than or equal to 2 and base is less than or equal to 36, valid base, nothing to do. It's a base, so if we specify 10, we have nothing to do here. This entire switch case should exit, and if the bit size is 0, it converts it to integer, and with bit size is less than 0 or greater than 64, it does this. Integer, what was this variable? Okay, it's a constant. Bit size, so I specified bit size to be 32. This will be false. Is less than 0 or greater than 64, this will be false, so it will not do anything. So then what bit size will be 32. Okay, so it's for correcting that. 32 is a value, so it doesn't need correction. Cutoff is the smallest number such that cutoff base is greater than max in 24. It's compile time constants for common cases. Okay, so this will run max uint divided by uint 64 base plus 1. Maxwell uint 64 range. Oh, yeah, I don't see it. Let's see. Is returning a uint64 even with 32 bit size. This is exactly what I'm witnessing. Oh, what? It always returns uint64. What? So how do I convert into you? That makes no sense. Okay, since because there is no function overloading in Go, it can only return a single data type, and they simply chose uint so that we're not losing any data out. And if we know in our use case we know that it's not going to be bigger than uint32, we can simply trim it off. So I think if we do int32, this will work. Nope. Okay, so first it will complain about that multiple values being returned, and then at this point index will I'm gonna call it account index actually, account index, and then the actual index I want to use will be int32 of account index. Where's return UN64? Like I'm back live again. That was very weird. It stopped working and then it seems to have start working again. Let's see. Closing all these windows and let's see what actually happened on the. Is it still the same stream? I think it is. And what's going on the Twitch side? Okay, it's still the same stream. But it might have created a different stream. How do I get to my account so that I can see different videos? Like the profile page on Twitch is so confusing that I get lost. Okay, so it definitely ended my stream here, and it has started on the stream. That's too many incidences of software failing on me. Earlier it was the RTX voice, and it's just stopped. It just took all of its virtual drivers away, virtual microphone input and everything. And now it was the OBS who bailed out on me. And seems to be it's back up again with the second stream on Twitch and the same stream on YouTube. But anyway, we can continue working further. So, can get out of here. So what we were working on was okay. So the panic happened when I click on any of these, and that's what I gotta check out. Why is this panic happening? I realized the Go file wasn't completely saved. I saved it and now it has an error. Okay, 121 line. It's running. Yep, same panic happening. Let's see. I clicked on first this, and then one value was passed in this function. Let's write some JSON stuff here so that we at least know what's going on. And we need the what do I call it? Let's call it Bitcoin account API response for now. There will be success and there will be xpub. Why is it not auto formatting? Why so many of things have to go wrong in a single day? Why can't a software person, a software creator, simply use software and without having those software crash on him for a day? Why? Too much to ask? Where response this type, and since we are here we will say response.success is true and response.xpub is the xpub. This is the string, right? String, yes. You can in fact define it here. So if there was an error, we mark the response.success as false and response.xpub Error would be error.error function, and then okay, we don't have an error here, so we add that. And then over here, error is this, write JSON, response W, return it over here. That's it. End of story. And if there is no error, then this response was a success true. This is gets copied over here. Actually, we can have this over here to begin with. And that works out fine. We already have response.xpub over there, response.success here. If there is an error happen, then it will return and this will be nil. So good. That's good. Now we can deal with the actual panic. Let's see. So one was passed into this function. This got the maybe the master node that we have. The master node that we have is I think something is going wrong in the very first call here, because can it be? Let's see, what can we do to check? When this was a working example, so this was a working example. We have the master node over here. When we do the master node string, this exports the private key, which is this. And does it make sense to store that, just the private key, instead of the entire node? Because we have key or the pub key or the chain code. Since it's in the master, it doesn't have the chain code. Actually, let's dump and see all the values that it has. So that will happen at the generate wallet point here, and we can say log printf. And since we are trying to dump this master node, and comment out the calling of this function here. Response declared and not used. Okay, I'll not declare it. Coming back to this, let's go back here. Generate seed phrase. We got a seed phrase. We specify a passphrase, unlock wallet, and the master node simply gave me a private key. Golang log entire struct. To print the name of the fields in a struct. I want to print the fields and the values. This implements a deep pretty printer. Try this. Oh, quite popular package. I think instead of giving me the entire struct with that uh, v specifier, it just gave me the string output of it, and that's not what I want. So we get that, we include that in our code. And then we simply spew.dump the variable that we're trying to view, and that was where the generate wallet function. It's here, master node. That should do it. Let's try running it. Server is up and running. Crypto. Okay, hang on. Generate some passphrase, unlock wallet. Okay. See, we got the private key here, and when we dump the entire variable, we get the private key and this one additional bit, which is what? The version string, perhaps. Why doesn't it say the name of the fields as well? Does it require me to pass some additional parameters to the call? Let's see. To dump a variable with full new lines, indentation, type, and pointer information, use dump, fdump or sdump. What? Let's try these fdump and sdump as well. Fdump, sdump. Installing server. Undefined. What the hell? Wait a second. What? The dump is not even here. The dump is here. Then the fdump, then the there's small fdump and then capital fdump. And the capital one simply calls the smaller one. So we can use whatever, and the dump itself uses fdump. Are you serious? What is this mess? This is the kind of output that I want to see. Why is it not showing me that? Spew.dump, and it gave the O variable in there, and it showed everything. Okay. I don't know what's going on here. Can use a little bit of water. Why this stuff didn't work? Should have worked. I think that's simply for exporting things. Back to this page again. What is this? Hex to string conversion. What is that then? I think oh, what? Why does it say type generic API response? Oh, I think it was just showing this line when I was hovering over it. Yeah. Open type master node. This is this. Master extended key. I'm gonna go ahead and put all of these. And then over here, log.printf printl and this first will use them as it is, and then the variable values, that should be it. Oh, okay. I did not master node dot copy these over again. Okay, these are not exported, so I can't reference to them. Serious. Right, okay. So all I can do is call functions upon them. And what is there really? I mean, key and pub key. Since it's a master node and pub key is like stupid anyway, the key is gonna hold key. Master key, public key can be derived from it. Since it's a master node, there is no chain code. I think chain code is derived when we start traversing down the tree, and then no depth, no parent indication we need, no child number count or whatever. Then version, I don't know, is private true. This is stupid. Why did this not work? Like, what's the use of this package thing? Go spew spew. Hold on. So I think instead of master node, we simply save master key, which will be a string, and then at the generate wallet function, unlock wallet function, which is here, when we derive the inside the unlock handler, we have this generate wallet function. So we go inside of that, and over here so over here we do this master node, and then master node is derived from master key, and then this continues like this, and there was this function being called. Okay, I lost the function that we were trying to edit. Okay, were we here? So this was generating wallet. We generate the master node here, and we have to save the private key, the master node over there, right? So this new master returns new extended key, which returns this extended key, and the function that is associated on top of it is pub key bytes, return bytes with the seed-like compressed, is private def parent fingerprint child neuter. Nope. I think we can simply use this string function. and it will give us the human readable base 58. Master node B, don't need this. And then master node or string function, we save this to master key, and that should be it. Let's running this. Server is up and running. Okay, where is the logging? So it gave us the master node this. Log.printf master key. Just playing with the data types a little so that I know I can confirm that that what I understand is going on is indeed what's going on here. Okay, looks good. Now we go to the dashboard. Perhaps it's better to add the dashboard link here. So when we are here, we get this request, get Bitcoin account. Still not getting a response, although it's 200. Let's see. That's the only sensitive information which we need to safeguard. Get Bitcoin account. Let's start digging into that. Here it should have returned the XPub key. So let's see what was the output when we go. Oh, we didn't get an output because we commented this out temporarily. Now we can bring it back, restart the server, and see what happens. Obviously, at this point, it has nothing inside of it, so we need to give it that. And then when we click on this XPub key, Now we need to verify that. Allow me a second. Give me a second, folks. I was on mute. God damn it. Okay, so I need to add the image here rather the QR code here. So I think I'll just make it into a string, which will be a URL. QR code. Response dot here. This needs to be added again. Why do I keep on hitting save? Let's comment this out so that it doesn't go away. And then where was the function? Over here. We have this expert key. We want to encode it. Generate QR code. So let's look at the documentation now. It says create a 256 by 256 PNG image. Let's go with this. We'll obviously tweak these parameters once we know the safe limits or the same defaults for the hardware that we're going to use. But this should work fine. We create an image. We encode the xpub here. Medium 256. Now I can uncomment this and it will stay. Who asked you to go up, mister? What? Okay. Still throwing an error. No new variables on left. Is it going to return bytes? So yeah. So let's not define PNG and let's just roll with it like this. Oh, still error. PNG declared and not used. I will use it in a second. Okay, so right now we have the image in the I'm just wondering if I can send simply this data in a big JSON to the client side and then it compiles that into an image, but then that would require some code on the front end side as well. Perhaps I simply write it to a file how they're doing it over here. Eventually it would be cool to have the woodpecker logo in between of the QR code, but for now we're not gonna bother ourselves with it. So how is the path picked up here? QR code write file, response.xpub, medium 256, and file name. But which directory, man? The directory of the binary? But since in the production it will be a single binary, combined binary, how does it choose the path? Write file size, file name. How it will write file name. Okay, it's gonna write to the same directory where the binary file exists. That's what I think. Press open file, file name. Yep. Or maybe the current working directory while invoking that binary is what the current working directory will be. I don't know yet. We will see. Let's try to save it and we'll know what happens. So we have to specify the file name. So let's give it qr.png like a scared cat. so now it only returns an error, and that's not a new variable, so it's gonna complain about the okay. At this point, we simply see whether the qr.png has been generated in our directory. But for now, we're gonna monitor this directory. What was the key? Okay, that was it. Run the same command here so that I don't even have to switch windows. Okay. Can I move this without mouse? No, that's very stupid. Whatever. Okay. Okay, that's generated. Let's compile it. Build it. Reload. Click on 2. So it needs to have the master key first. It has it now. Account 2 generated the extended pub key, and the qr.png is generated here. Nice. Let's take a quick look at it. EW. Okay, gonna try to use my phone here to see and match the data. xpub6cc bb. Okay, it matches exactly. I was expecting more output because of this. Oh, the error recovery is how detailed this QR code will be, I think. So let's try a small little thing here. Gonna save this at qr.go and package main, import that whatever it is. And then use the same extended pub key to generate multiple variants with different error recoverability code and see how does that differ. What is this 56 again? want it to be separate from. So if I run directly go run qr.go, it runs, right? This is not going to matter if I run it directly, but considering the linter things, it's entire package altogether. How many error checking mechanism do we have? Low, medium, high, highest. So low, medium, high. I think the higher the recoverability rate is, the more data will be encoded in the QR code. I mean, the same data will be encoded multiple times in multiple areas so that it can be recovered. Low, medium, high, highest. Let's confirm our theory here. Boom. Okay, let's check these out. QR low. So ORG and medium should exactly match. They does. And then low has a lot of less data. That's good. And highest has more than high. You see the black blobs are a lot less here. With less detail, there are bigger black blobs, sorry. And medium is exactly what we did here. And this is the highest, I think. No, this is the medium again, I think. Also the size, the border of these pillars at the edges are quite noticeable. For the low, medium, and high, and highest is very okay. So I think if I cover the a quarter portion of the highest, it will still be able to read. Let's try that. This is actually pretty insane. Just gonna show it half the QR code. No, it doesn't work. I show it more and more. Didn't work this time. Although it's able to detect that it's a QR code. Okay, perhaps I needed to discard the notification. Okay, so with a quarter portion of it covered, it is able to read the QR code, but it's not triggering a notification. Let's try it again. And with the low one, okay, that was a good exercise. Okay, now I want to run this from another directory and see what happens. Then the working directory will be one level up. Go run vault qr.go. Yep, just like I thought. So in my custom Linux OS, whatever the current working directory is, while executing this binary, the Go language binary file on production, will all the images will go there in the current working directory. So I think what I gotta do is delete all these files. Surprised that this has not reflected it yet. WSL is stupid, but it's still there. Pretty sure I deleted it. No? What? Hmm. What? What? Did I not delete them? I even deleted these files. How did they came here again? Why is it still showing me? Holy hell. Where are these files coming from? What? What is going on? Is the linter... Okay, it's gone. Oh, I think it was the editor. The files got deleted from behind, but it had those in the memory, so it was saving them again. We will not see these files again. Stupid editor. I mean, it should do it that with the text files. I guess it's a trade-off. I can call it stupid unless I really need that functionality. Okay. Can also get rid with the keyword and go file. What now? Okay, let's see. Okay, now we have to return the URL for it. So we try to put all of these files in the static directory where we can create another function directory by the URL QR. I mean, I don't know if this will work depending on how I package these static files along with the Go binary. They will surely work if they're outside of the Go binary and it knows the path where the static files lies, and that's how it uses it for its static file server. But we're not using the static file server, we're using Nginx. So, but in any case, when it will be running in production, the static file server will also be done by Go. And in that scenario, if all of these are packaged in the single binary, does it not matter for all these file paths? Or will it? And if it does, then how does me storing all of this into a RAM file system matters? We'll have to explore that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. But for now, let's assume that we can put all of these files in the static QR directory and then return the URL for it to the front end. Over here we can use static QR.png, and we can try to use certain URLs here. Let's see. QR file name. Let's see. I want to call it QR underscore. Then I want to call it it's Bitcoin. So I want to call it actually, like, if I simply give it the path, derivation path for the address that it is off. It should be fine. QRM44 0, and that gives me so QRM44 0 for the coin type, and then we have the account, then we have the external keychain, external chain, and then the index, which is what here in this index. So this becomes index, and obviously this needs to be a string. So do I have that link open? I don't. stringcon.itua. This becomes a string, then it gets added to it, and then we simply end the file with .png. So this is the QR file name. What is it complaining about now? Oh, cannot use index type uint32s type int in argument to this. Okay, we can use format int. Is this a base? That's a base. Format uint. We do have format uint, but then that expects a uint64. This is stupid. Let's see. Pretty sure this will work. fmt printf. fmt dot printf index, and the first parameter is a specifier which will be converting into this, and it doesn't complain now. Great. So once we generate this QR, this here, we can response dot QR code, and the value of that will be let's see, static. No, not static. So it will simply be this. Depending the QR file name, and this should run. Let's see. Server is up and running. Reload it. Generate it. Go to dashboard. Hit it. Hit it again. QR code is this. Which is this. Sweet. Vue.js image model. Can I how to use image source in Vue.js. Yes, vbind source. Okay, so over here img vbind source. Yeah. Cool. But where is the oh, these are the variables. What I'm gonna use is QR. Let's see. And then gotta define QR here. QR code shown of account, expert key shown of desired account. Okay. Still need to put that in the variable though. So over here, this dot expert, this dot QR is equal to response dot data dot QR. Restarting. Count 2. Still did not get an image. What is going on? Image is empty. Did get the oh, it's QR code. Got the image here. Sweet. So if I click it again, since the path is same, the file is overwritten, and only however accounts that are there, only files of those M44, 0 for Bitcoin, 0 for external chain, and 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And on 5th, get it here, and 5th here. Cool, this looks good. Okay, this looks good. So, thinking about it, once the wallet boots up, you generate a seed phrase, you choose the passphrase, you unlock the wallet, now you have access to the wallet. You basically have the ability to create extended pub keys and scan these pub keys in the wallet side. There is no, I mean, like, we have to work on the scanning of the QR code on the wallet side, but this dashboard portion of Vault is pretty much complete. You can create the extended pub keys, the QR code for them for whatever account you wish, and you simply can scan it and save it and use it wherever. So this is done actually, and the only bit in terms of functionality for the MVP build, signed transaction is remaining, and what else? The import functionality of seed phrase is remaining. Because once this is generated, and once I think when this is generated, we should generate a QR code for that as well. But we can't generate that unless we know an encryption key for this, and we encrypt this data, then we show the QR here, and which is pretty much safe to keep anywhere else, provided that it's encrypted by a strong encryption key. You do not want to choose a weak encryption key, and that is that. So encryption of the seed phrase is what's remaining here, which will be used in the import. So the import bit is remaining, and then on the dashboard side, this is pretty much complete, except the signed transaction functionality needs to happen. Cool. So that's some good progress for today. And on that note, I'll end this stream for today, and we'll get back to it and finish the remaining bits. Thank you for tuning in. If you like the product, you can go to woodpecker.com, WODPCKR, I'm gonna just type the URL in here to show you, and you can click on this for the quick overview of the wallet functionality that I'm building, the architecture, some detailed explanation about it, and the roadmap. And if you want to follow the development, you can drop in your email so that I can give you a weekly update. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you like what I'm doing, you can give me a follow on Twitter. It's my Twitter handle is ashfame. It will be on the screen in a moment. So thank you again for tuning in, and have a good day. Bye bye. Oops, wrong button. Oh, my button isn't working. That's it. Bye.